Now at 9, how a dispute over a pencil led to fires and broken windows over at the Ottawa County Jail. Plus, what the Webb City School District is doing to provide new safety measures to schools.
Police thanking a good Samaritan for stepping in to stop a shooter at a mall in Indiana. I'm Alexis McAdams. I'll have the latest coming up next.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Aubie. Ottawa County authorities say their jail was damaged by inmates this weekend because of a pencil. Authorities say last evening 4 inmates got upset over another cell pod getting a pencil. They say those inmates ended up starting a fire in their rec yard, blocked a door with bunks, and smashed windows. Officials say when those inmates were put into another cell, they broke a hot water line. Thankfully, no one was injured during this incident. Joplin Police Department has released the name of the victim from a shooting that took place over the weekend. Early Saturday morning, officers arrived at the scene of 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. There is currently no update on his current condition. Authorities are still investigating this shooting. The man who died from an early Saturday morning crash near Grand Falls in Joplin has been identified as a Carthage resident. He's 19-year-old Keenan Reed. 2 other people were injured in the crash. This investigation is ongoing as well. All right, meteorologist Doug Cady joining us now. First look at the forecast. Apparently that heat dial is going to go up even more, huh?
Yeah, and it's been hot for a few weeks, and we hit 100 degrees again a couple days last week. Today we stayed below that mark, but above where we should be for this time of the year. 91's our normal high. 96 is where we topped out. 110's the record set back in the summer of 54. Nothing going on here. We have pretty much clear skies, and this is what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. A few thunderstorms out to our west will not make it here. We are sitting into the mid 80s. We'll drop back lower 70s later on tonight, but triple-digit heat returns. We'll look at that here in just a bit.
And just beyond dangerous. You know, Joplin is offering 3 downtown buildings as cooling centers during this unbelievable heat. They are City Hall, the address there is 602 South Main. Also the Health Department, 321 East 4th, and the Public Safety Center, 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers are going to be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Number 1, stay out of the heat if at all possible. Number 2, if you have to be out, make it as short a time as possible. Stay hydrated, get some good electrolytes into you, find some air conditioning as best you can.
For more tips on how to stay safe in the heat, head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Some Miami, Oklahoma residents can also find a new cooling station near them. The Miami Public Library is going to be serving as a cooling station with AC and a water fountain. The library is open through the week during the day and also Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's closed, however, on Sundays. As students gear up to go back to the classroom, Webb City school leaders, we're going to make sure your kids are going to be safe. KOAM's Segun Bamadelli learned more about new measures the district is putting into place.
As the new school year approaches, Webb City School District is preparing to welcome its students back.
At this time of year is a busy time of year for all school districts. Our custodial staff and maintenance staff are busy upgrading, getting ready for the school year.
The Webb City School District is making changes to security this upcoming school year due to events going on nationwide.
You know, with things going around the nation, I think it's a time that we can always reflect and improve on, you know, how can we keep our students more safe throughout the school day. So nothing specific, but I think that's something we always need to reflect, see where we're at, and if there's anything we can do to improve our students' experience here and keep them safe while they're doing so.
Laura also says the new security systems could help address bullying around schools. That includes new cameras in the school buildings.
The board just approved a student services plan that takes into account, as you mentioned, bullying, ways to address that with bullying curriculum for our staff. And so just all avenues in terms of that, we want to be more aware and obviously take action to be able to remedy those situations.
The school district says it is also updating its system for notifying teachers and staffs of potential emergencies.
You know, another thing we are doing is upgrading our notification system for our staff in Formacast, and so that allows our teachers to not only notify when situations are happening, but receive alerts that allowed us to react to situations that we need to.
In Webb City, Segun Bamdele, KOAM News.
Webb City students go back to school on August 22nd. Officials identifying the suspect in yesterday's shooting at a mall in Indiana. 3 people were killed, a young girl hurt. Though police say the situation could have been much worse if not for the heroic actions of a Good Samaritan. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has the latest.
Authorities now naming 20-year-old Jonathan Spearman as the gunman in Sunday's shooting at a mall in Greenwood, Indiana, in a suburb just south of Indianapolis. Investigators say Spearman emerged from a bathroom near a food court after he was inside for more than an hour, then opening fire with a rifle.
Gunshots started ringing out, probably about 20 of them, and everybody just started stampeding.
3 people were killed, including a husband and a wife who were out to dinner at the mall. A 12-year-old girl was hurt by a ricocheted bullet. Police say Elijah Dickin from Seymour, Indiana, was out shopping with his girlfriend when he spotted the gunman and returned fire.
This young man, Greenwood's Good Samaritan, acted within seconds, stopping the shooter and saving countless lives.
Though it's against mall policy to carry a weapon, the mall says they're appreciative of Dickin for putting an end to this violence.
His actions were nothing short of heroic. He engaged the gunman from quite a distance with a handgun, and as he moved to close in on the suspect, he was also motioning for people to exit behind him.
Police say the shooter had several magazines and at least 3 guns inside of the bathroom. Investigators also say he recently left his job and had been practicing shooting at a local gun range. In New York, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another 4-state hero. Bruce Mintzer served the U.S. Marines and Navy from 1992 to 2011. Native of Iola, Kansas, Mintzer was stationed in Iraq, and we are proud to thank and salute Lieutenant Commander and a chaplain Bruce Mintzer. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Heddy's next with a complete look at the forecast a bit later. A Crowder College All-American earning his shot at MLB. We have those details in sports.
Well, of course, another hot one for us today, and it's only going to get hotter as we go through the next few days. Tomorrow should actually be our 9th 100-plus degree day so far this summer, which is kind of crazy. We only average 1 or 2 times. We didn't hit 100 last summer, the summer before, or the one before that. The last one was 2018. We only did it once. The last summer we had long stretches like this. We have to go back to 2012. We hit 100 a crazy 27 times. Of course, you can always get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. It's also dry, becoming an issue. Grass is burnt or crusty, but we are in a moderate drought across the region. That's only going to get worse. Temperatures right now are mainly sitting into the mid-80s, but look at the highs. We were into the mid-90s. Earlier today, we've dropped off a bit across the region from 79, Nevada 84 in Neosho, Welch at 87, Independent sitting at 83, Yates Center at 84 degrees. Here's the somewhat good news. You always talk about how Vegas is a dry heat. It's because the humidity is lower. Dew points are mainly sitting right around 60 degrees. We're kind of in that 60 to 65 degree range. Not bad to kind of sticky. You just want to stay out of the 70s, and that's when you get that really high humidity. 86, northerly winds are light, humidity is at 43%. Radar's clear, pretty much the skies are clear, nothing going on here. A few thunderstorms out to our west. Those will not make it into the region for us tonight. But look at this big dome of high pressure. As long as this is somewhat close to us, we aren't going to see a lot of changes. All week long, it just kind of hangs out across the southwest, and then by the weekend, kind of urges or pushes its way toward us and then kind of stays near us off to the southeast by next week. So that means the heat sticks around as we go through really the next week or 2. Temperatures lower 70s for us tonight. Quick warm up, mid 90s by noon. And then check this out. Not good. 101, 102, 103, upwards to about 104 during the afternoon. 71 to start, 98 by noon, high temp of 104 during the afternoon. Very slight chance we may get an isolated shower or thunder shower tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Most of us not, but at least the random chance is there. We get a northerly wind on Wednesday, and then we go into the lower triple digits once again. Heat indices are pretty much going to match the temp, so about 103 to 105 by the time we head into tomorrow afternoon. All right, 104 tomorrow, 103 Wednesday. That slight chance for a storm. 104 Thursday, 105 Friday, 105 Saturday, 106 Sunday, 107 on Monday, 108 next Tuesday, 107 Wednesday. Next 10 days, that's a stretch of heat.
Yeah. And you were right about everything being so dry and no relief.
I haven't mowed in like 5 weeks.
Yeah, no relief, at least in the immediate term anyway. Doug Hetty, we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you so much. A new Fox News poll showing some voters are absolutely fed up with stubborn inflation and the state of the economy this summer. Democrats are worried voters are going to punish them this fall, leading to some whispers that a change in 2024 might be the only way to turn everything around. Fox's Caroline Shively reports now from D.C.
New Fox polling shows voters are frustrated with the White House, with President Biden's approval numbers underwater on energy, Russia, guns, immigration, the economy, and inflation. In fact, only 27% of those surveyed said Mr. Biden should run for re-election in 2024, including 44% of Democrats.
Mr. President, what's your message to Democrats who don't want you to run again?
They want me to run.
Some voters are already pondering other potential Democratic nominees.
I think Michelle Obama. Probably Bernie Sanders.
Newsom, because I think DeSantis would destroy him.
2 years out, Republicans and Democrats are battling over Mr. Biden's record and how it could play out in a re-election bid.
Crises that have come up are obscuring the things he has accomplished. Record job growth in his first year, record small business development in his first year.
That's just simply not an excuse that the people are going to buy, especially when they're looking at their gas tank, they're looking at their pocketbook, and they're looking at our foreign standing.
Voters don't appear interested in a Biden-Trump rematch, with the majority of those polled saying they don't want either man to run in 2024. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Coming up, more investigations in Uvalde, Texas.
New body camera footage revealing the chaos during May's mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer. Details on that and much more straight ahead.
Dr. Anthony Fauci planning on retiring by the end of President Joe Biden's current term in office. The government's top infectious disease specialist saying in a report in Politico that he will likely retire after more than 5 decades of federal service under 7 different presidential administrations. He said he did not expect to remain in government until COVID-19 is eradicated, as the 81-year-old doctor believes we're going to be living with this for years to come. There's no word if Dr. Fauci has a specific date in mind for his retirement. Uber settling a multi-million-dollar lawsuit that alleged the rideshare company overcharged customers with disabilities. The Justice Department says Uber has agreed to offer, quote, several $1 million to compensate more than 65,000 users who were charged discriminatory fees because of a disability. The suit claimed those who used wheelchairs and walkers were charged extra for the time it took to load and unload their mobility aids, which violated the Americans with Disabilities Act. A new groundbreaking report, coupled with disturbing new footage, is highlighting the chaos and confusion in and outside of Robb Elementary back on May 24th. That's when a gunman entered the Uvalde school, killed 21 people. Fox News correspondent Ashley Strohmeyer has the latest.
He's inside this building. We have him contained.
New body camera footage revealing the horrors behind May's mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas.
Kids coming out, kids coming out.
Law enforcement seen here pulling kids through smashed windows and telling them to run, as the gunman who shot and killed 19 of their schoolmates and 2 teachers still remained inside.
I don't know if there was 2 shooters or not.
The clips also appear to show the ongoing confusion among the nearly 400 officers swarming the scene at the time. This footage released Sunday, the same day the Texas House of Representatives also unleashed a new report.
Where did the critical breakdown occur?
Collectively calling out local, state, and federal authorities for, quote, egregiously poor decision-making while responding to the attack. The report citing no one assumed command of the situation and how it took almost 2 hours for the gunman to be brought down after he entered the building.
There were officers in that building who knew or should have known more needed to be done. If they didn't take over command or try to assume command, they should have began asking questions.
It's hard to hear that there were multiple systemic failures because we want to tell ourselves that systems work. But there's also a call to action in this report, because systems are something that we can and must improve.
The mayor of Uvalde says the city will conduct an internal investigation into the local police response. That's expected to commence once Texas DPS releases the officer incident statements that were collected after the shooting. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
So ahead, how school districts are helping create affordable housing options for teachers. Higher interest rates in response to inflation are driving the U.S. dollar's value higher. That's expected to drive down the cost of some imported goods while making it cheaper for Americans to travel overseas. However, the flip side of this whole thing is that a stronger dollar is likely to make U.S. products more expensive to international buyers, which would likely lead to diminished sales. Restaurants still struggling to maintain staff despite the pandemic easing. The National Restaurant Association is saying as of May, the restaurant industry is still down 750,000 jobs compared to pre-pandemic levels. Customers are experiencing long wait times to get seats or that food, that's according to a new report. Customer satisfaction ratings fell among fast food, independent, and national chain brands this year, and short staffing complaints were 3 times higher in Yelp reviews than a year ago. Surging prices seem to know no bounds, but as Americans struggle to keep up with the rising cost of consumer goods, some economists say the Federal Reserve's decision to raise interest rates may not be the golden ticket slowing inflation. Fox News' Chris Mayo has a look at inflation's impacts on the housing market, plus a rare but unique solution combating sky-high rent and labor shortages all at once.
With inflation recently hitting its highest rate in 40 years, Americans are still feeling the sting, as the latest data from the Consumer Price Index shows the cost of goods rose more than 9% in June compared to a year ago.
I think the Fed is under pressure to show that they're doing something.
And while the Federal Reserve moved to hike interest rates to slow inflation, some economists say it may not be enough to provide relief, mainly attributing the surging prices to supply chain issues caused by the pandemic and ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine.
The Fed obviously can't pump oil and they can't grow wheat, so all they can really do is impact the demand side of that supply-demand equation.
So far, rising interest rates are pinching the housing market.
Mortgage rates have gone up from 3% to where they're at right now, right around 5.75%.
With real estate professionals saying higher rates could prevent homeowners from selling, prevent prospective house hunters from buying, and could force more people into rentals.
We're seeing a lot of homeowners opt not to sell, and a lot of that has to do with being locked in at such low mortgage rates.
Meanwhile, as the nation continues facing an affordable housing crisis, more school districts are eyeing the possibility of educator housing to tackle rising rents and prevent worker shortages. In California, one school district is already making this a reality, offering staff the rare chance of living in a new apartment complex that's close to their work and for considerably lower rent than apartments in the surrounding area. Chris DeMayo, Fox News.
All right, here's your chance to own some history, some fried chicken history in particular. More on this next. The former home of KFC founder Colonel Sanders is up for sale, that thing on the left there. 5,000 square foot residence named Blackwood Hall was purchased by the Colonel and his wife Claudia back in 1959. It's beautiful property. Look at that. Now, it's actually located in Shelbyville, Kentucky, and includes the Claudia Sanders Dinner House. The home is being sold with KFC memorabilia like Colonel Sanders' original Kentucky Colonel certificate, handwritten recipes, a monogrammed Bible, and other items. Now, the buyer is going to have also rights to that thing, the Claudia Sanders Dinner House, and Claudia Sanders' name and likeness. I'm surprised the house isn't already a museum, you know what I mean? Because I like history, and I did a little bit of research, and I guess Colonel Sanders didn't work on his recipe. He did not work on his recipe at this house. But still, he's an important guy, you know what I mean? 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way. How a state grant is going to help a domestic abuse counseling center over in southeast Kansas. Plus, a look at how this area's intense heat has impacted local crops.
Low prices.
A domestic abuse counseling center in Iola, Kansas, one of the recipients of a statewide tax credit program by the State Department of Commerce. KOAM's Amber Jenkins explains how the program will help the center.
Hope Unlimited is an abuse counseling center created by concerned citizens of Iola. This nonprofit organization provides victim assistance to rural southeast Kansas. Although Hope Unlimited never turns away a person in need, they are in need of a better shelter.
What we learned during COVID was our shelter was not large enough to allow for social distancing, and it became very clear that something needed to be done because we had to go in and remove the bunk beds and make single beds, so that diminished our capacity.
The shelter is mostly funded by the federal government through grants. Grants subsidized by criminals, not taxpayers.
We are lucky, like when people are saying, well, we want to make sure my taxpayer dollars are being well used, and we're able to say, we actually are getting the criminals to pay for these programs or the seizures from criminal actions. We're able to say these really are being paid for by those people that have committed some of those crimes.
Kansas Governor Laura Kelly awarded 29 nonprofit organizations tax credits to boost their fundraising for programs improving their community. After years of applying, Hope Unlimited is one of the 29 profits awarded in the tax credit program.
We're small. So we recognize that lots of big communities get this, but we, that smaller towns sometimes get a little overlooked.
Kansas tax credit will give donors more bang for their buck. Qualified donors in rural communities will receive 70% of tax credit when they file their state taxes. Hope Unlimited will use tax credit programs to build a second shelter for victims.
If we're not here and we can't address all the needs and the capacity that we need to, where are they going to go? It's an hour away to the nearest resources. So we want to make sure that we can adequately serve the population in a way that they feel safe and cared for.
In Iola, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Shelter is going to serve people in Allen, Anderson, Neosho, and Woodson counties. Big Brother, Big Sisters of Pittsburgh is teaming up with Drop the Age for an event for the kiddos and their mentors to have a night where they learned how to make pizza. Each person got the chance to make their own pizza. Good stuff. And they all enjoyed it together.
It's a fun event. Not only is it exciting for them, but it gets the kids out in the community, meeting business owners, works on their social skills, allows them to meet other kids and other bigs. So.
Big Brother, Big Sister is a nonprofit and was founded back in 1904. And we were just talking about history earlier. The Miller Mansion was one of the first houses built in Pittsburgh. Photojournalist Carrie Worthen toured the house and spoke to owner Larry Seward about a new project to bring this home back to life.
The Miller Mansion was a house that basically needed a little loving care. To me, it's an honor. I enjoy and like to bring things back to life. There's a sitting room, there's a dining room, there's a big porch where you can imagine people going outside, and it's got a great view. It's a very unique home. It's like bringing something back from the brink of destruction, and that's what we like about it. But that house was a labor of love. The structure of the house was in really good shape. Started renovating and started doing some things to it. The house has a great history. The house had great bones. We went to work on putting it back to the time period that it was, from the furniture that we put in to, everything. And when we were finished, the house, you walk in and it feels alive. It feels comfortable. It's one of them houses that takes you back in a time where things were a lot more easier.
Beautiful. You can stay in the Miller Mansion through Airbnb if you choose to do so. Well, this heat we got going on is causing problems for more than just people. It's also affecting the food supply. KOAM's Yana Hatala spoke with a local family of farmers. Now they're keeping their crops alive.
The intense heat is causing problems for farmers this summer. The cornfields are suffering greatly from the weather.
We've done everything we can do. It's Mother Nature that really fell short this year on the rain. And the heat's really been a killer, but those two together have really put a hurting on the corn.
A family of farmers in Cherokee County, Kansas, is keeping their hopes up for their soybean crops.
The early beans, as far as they go, they ran out of moisture a little bit earlier, and they're hurting a little bit worse, but they've still got a lot of potential if we can catch a rain in a week or two. But this next week with 105 degrees is really gonna put a hurting on them. So we'll see how it goes.
The heat is not only drying the crops out, but the weeds as well, which makes it harder to kill them as they don't absorb chemicals that easy. Before the soybeans, the family grew wheat at the same place.
Southeast Kansas, we're in an unusual part of the United States where we have the ability to grow 2 crops in 1 year. We can grow wheat, then we can turn around and plant beans behind that and still capture a bean crop off.
This method helps get the soil more wet than normal, which helps the plants during hot weather.
In a year like this where it's 100 degrees and we haven't had rain for 30 days, that wheat straw acts like a mat and it's covering that ground. The sun's not getting direct sunlight to the ground to help dry it out. So as a farmer, we're doing everything we can to conserve the moisture and protect the environment and do our part against global warming and everything else.
Reporting from Cherokee County, Kansas, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
The Watsons will be harvesting their soybeans in August. A bit later, DOJ's case against Steve Bannon.
Washington, despite last-minute attempts to delay. I'm Lauren Blanchard. I'll have the latest coming up.
Well, of course, another hot one for us today. Pretty good stretch of heat, which is not very welcome. Really, this dates back to about the middle of June, so almost a month now that we've had primarily 90s and triple digits across the region. Not 100 today, but we made a run at it. Tomorrow should be our 9th time we would have already hit 100 degrees this summer. We only average it about 1 or 2 times. In fact, the last summer to do it was 2018. The past 3 summers, we've gotten off pretty easy. Now, we have not gotten off easy with the rain because it is super dry out there. We had all that rain in April, all that rain in May. We had almost 15 inches of rain in May, first week of June, and then we haven't had squat across the region, really no rain. So we're in a moderate drought for the southern half of the region, and in general, it's going to stay pretty dry. Look at our temps today, mid-90s, 4 highs. We are still sitting into the 80s. Case in point, 81 in Monette, Anderson 84, Welch 86, Neodesha sitting at 81 degrees. I guess the good news with this scenario is our dew points. Our moisture isn't extremely high. We're kind of sitting right around that 60 to 65 range, so that puts us in that not bad to sticky zone. When we get up into the soupy and you have temperatures at 100, that's when you get those high heat indices. We're going to kind of hang out down here, even though we're going to be above 100 degrees for the next several days. At least we're not going to have much of a heat index. 96, no, 86. Right now, northeasterly winds at 5, humidity's at 43%. Not much is going on here, pretty much clear skies. Have some thunderstorms out across the eastern parts of Colorado. They are not going to make it here. Big dome of high pressure. This is what usually causes the heat during the summer months. When it hangs out anywhere from our southeast, we get the humidity. When it falls back to our southwest, we get a little drier heat, but that allows our temperatures to warm up above 100 very easily. And you can see the high pressure just kind of sticks around over the next week. So let's go hour by hour. Let's go through the overnight. We're going to stop tomorrow morning near 70. Quick warm up, 70s, 80s, mid 90s by noon. We should go above 100 degrees for most of us. There may be a 99 out there, but most of us should have triple digit heat tomorrow. Starting at 71, 98 by noon, high temp of 104. Tomorrow night, isolated thunderstorm or 2, maybe 10% of us, but most of us will stay dry. But there are going to be a few out there, and then we do it again on Wednesday. We're going to get a light northerly wind, but back to the triple digit heat once again, which we don't want to see, and there's plenty of it. 103 on Wednesday, 104 on Thursday, 105 on Friday. Scorcher of a weekend. I mean, just a crazy stretch. We have not had a stretch like this for 10 years.
Stay inside most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy your time inside, and of course, you can't remind people enough. Drink water if you have to be outside. It's so important to do that. Doug Hetty, thank you so much. Extreme heat in the UK is causing quite a disruption over at London's Luton Airport. Scorching hot temperatures led to runway damage. Engineers there were called to the site to repair what's being described as surface defect. The incident causing the airport to briefly suspend flights today, but operations said to be back up and running by the evening. A heat wave there has engulfed much of Western Europe, with Britain in particular issuing a red heat alert for the first time in history, in effect tomorrow, as temperatures are expected to soar into the 104 area in many parts of the country, 104 degrees. Coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws aiming to push their winning streak to 8 games, plus Crowder College pitcher becomes the highest drafted player in program history. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Joplin Outlaws have just 5 games left in the regular season. The Outlaws are on a roll right now, winning 7 straight games, giving themselves a 2-game lead for first place in the MINK League South Division. Joplin is at home tonight, opening up a 2-game set against the Carroll Merchants. That game is still going right now. Outlaws lead at 9-5 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Max Bruff having a good evening so far for Joplin. He's 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Well, Crowder College pitcher Jacob Mizorowski is getting his shot at Major League Baseball. And Mizorowski was picked in the 2nd round of the MLB draft last night, going 63rd overall to the Milwaukee Brewers. He was no doubt one of the best in the nation this season. The right-handed redshirt freshman was 10-0 in 15 appearances for Crowder with a 2.72 ERA. He was an All-American and the region's 16 Player of the Year for the Rough Riders, and now Mizorowski is the highest drafted player under head coach Travis Lallemand.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, surreal, really, to actually have the opportunity to do it. I mean, it's what I've been dreaming for forever, and so I think it's just one of those surreal moments. I'm going to go out there and give my 100%. I mean, that's what I do every game, so I think that's what I'm giving, and, you know, I'm going to be out there working my butt off to get up to the pros as soon as possible.
You can check out our full story with Mizorowski, including thoughts from Crowder head coach Travis Lallemand, on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. The MLB All-Star Game is tomorrow night right here on Fox 14. Our news tomorrow will be after the All-Star Game wraps up in LA. As we go to break, here's a preview of this year's Midsummer Classic featuring the biggest names in baseball.
The 92nd All-Star Game here on Fox from Dodger Stadium. Cannot wait with the Hall of Famer Frank Thomas, soon-to-be Hall of Famer Big Papi David Ortiz, A-Rod Alex Rodriguez, and I'm Kevin Burkhardt. So there's a lot of fun storylines in this one. What are you looking for on Tuesday night?
I think it's going to be the hottest ticket in town, all the stars coming out, and none bigger than the way the game will start, Papi, with Ohtani against Mr. Clayton Kershaw.
I don't think it's going to be a place on earth with many stars we're going to have during the All-Star Game. But I want to see how the starting pitcher from the National League go through this lineup right here. It's a joke.
And you're right about that. The American League team is very stacked with home run hitters. The National League look very athletic, so that's why we play the game. It's not on paper.
Yeah. Clayton Kershaw gets a start for the National League. First ever All-Star start here at home. Shane McClanahan from the Rays gets a start for the American League. Can't wait to see it. 7 Eastern, our coverage from right here at Dodger Stadium.
Be sure and drop your...
New federal lawsuit claiming that Skittles are unsafe to eat. A consumer alleges Skittles are made with a known toxin, titanium dioxide. It's unfit for human consumption. Now, back in 2016, Mars said it was planning on getting rid of the chemical compound from its products. However, the lawsuit claims it's still being used in products that includes Skittles. The Department of Justice is moving ahead with its case against former Trump administration strategist Steve Bannon. He was found in contempt of Congress last year for refusing to talk to the January 6th committee. But now, as the trial is underway, Bannon says he is ready to talk. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
The trial of former Trump administration official and longtime ally Steve Bannon began in a D.C. federal courthouse Monday with jury selection. He faces 2 counts of contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with a House January 6 committee subpoena. Each charge carries a possible sentence of 30 days to 1 year in prison. Last year, Bannon claimed because of executive privilege, he couldn't talk about conversations he had with former President Trump ahead of the insurrection.
He's willing to comply if they just resolve the privilege issue, which he feels he's bound by, which his lawyer told him he's bound by.
But Bannon left the administration in 2017, years before the 2021 riot at the Capitol, and therefore was a private citizen and not covered. Even still, recently President Trump claimed he's given Bannon the go-ahead to talk to the committee.
That seems to me to be the purpose of it, to basically give Bannon a reason now why he could go to the committee and say, okay, now I'm prepared to play ball.
Prosecutors say they will lay out their case in about a day. Bannon is one of 4 former Trump officials held in contempt of Congress, but only 2 have been indicted by the Justice Department.
People get held in contempt of Congress from time to time over our nation's history, but very, very rarely does it actually result in a criminal prosecution. This is one of those exceedingly rare events.
The January 6th committee plans to wrap up its public hearings with a primetime hearing on Thursday. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Coming up, going to check out the movies and music now available for you to enjoy at home. DVD, digital, and music releases this week include a popular animated family, an Oscar-winning legend, and more. Here's Fox's Kristen Goodwin with a list of new releases.
Happy, hopeful.
The Bob's Burger movie tops this week's list of what's new in home entertainment. Based on the long-running Emmy-winning series, the animated film centers on the Belcher family facing a sinkhole threatening to destroy their restaurant and summer. The Japanese drama Drive My Car is about a man forced to confront certain realities of his life following his wife's tragic death. Johnny Depp produced and stars in the real-life drama Minamata. He portrays famed photojournalist W. Eugene Smith, who documented how people in a Japanese fishing village suffered from mercury poisoning due to industrial pollution in the 1970s.
I just don't know who you are anymore.
Meryl Streep plays a famous author who takes a trip with 2 old best friends and a nephew in hopes to find fun and happiness in the comedy drama Let Them All Talk.
The duel to the death will be in approximately 1 year.
Karen Gillan is forced to fight her clone to death in the sci-fi thriller comedy Duel.
I make this look good.
Films celebrating their 25th anniversary. The sci-fi comedy Men in Black, starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, as well as the beloved comedy classic Good Burger.
We agreed, say no more than we have to.
Small screen favorites available to own on DVD and Blu-ray include Season 1 of Showtime's Emmy-nominated drama Yellow Jackets, the CBS sitcom The Neighborhood Season 4, and the 7th and final season of DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
I hate to think about it.
For music fans, rock musician Jack White drops Entering Heaven Alive, the second of 2 solo records. And indie pop duo She and Him celebrate a Beach Boys icon with their 7th album Melt Away, a tribute to Brian Wilson.
I love the way you soften my life.
In Hollywood, Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a race in Peru to celebrate International Dog Day. It happened yesterday. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.